Hello, my fellow YouTubers. It is March 25th, 2023, and I own a 2006 Ford F-250 Super Duty with a 6.0 diesel engine. I'm sure you recognize that grill. Okay, I'm going to tell you what happened yesterday when I was on my way to work. Been subcontracting, gave up on being a slave to society, and I was like a block away from where I needed to be to do this job. And anyhow, I noticed that my truck derated, meaning that when I stepped on the throttle, that I no longer had any power. I'm going to open up the hood right now. Okay, so as you see, everything looks kind of compact in here, but thankfully the part that I needed to get to was actually in the front of the motor, and I'm very thankful for that. So anyhow, the part that I replaced was this. Okay, now you can see it. So this is called an exhaust gas recirculation valve, and what that part does is it has a solenoid, which is electric. You have a harness right here that plugs into the top, and what it does is it opens and closes and allows the exhaust, some of the exhaust, not all of it, but some of the exhaust to come back through this valve and then back into the engine's intake and then be reburned in the engine to reduce emissions out the backside of that turbo, so that we have cleaner air. But we just look like we have cleaner air. It's all about the appearance. That way people don't complain, they don't see the emissions. But diesel exhaust is not as bad as gas engines. Gas engines emit a ton of carbon monoxide. And I have had a carbon monoxide reader when I did a hole watch one time at a water tank. And they were doing a repair on the inside of the tank. And they used a piece of equipment. It was a walk-behind loader, and it was gas powered, and that thing immediately set off the carbon monoxide sensor, and I had to shut down the job. But diesels are not like that, so they ended up getting a diesel powered one, totally fine. But anyways, this is what I did. I forgot to record this video until I already replaced the part, but it's very, very, very simple. So this is what I did. So I got a an electric ratchet, what do you call those? Rechargeable ratchet. It was only 3/8. The ratchet just had an extension on it with an 8mm. You can also use a 5/16, but you always want to use the socket that fits the fastener the best. That way you reduce stripping, the chance of stripping the head of the bolt or the nut. Anyhow, this is what I did. I went right here, and right here there's one bolt right there, and then there's another bolt right there. So before all that, I disconnected the harness and I put it out of the way. Before I put it out of the way, I sprayed the inside of this plug, because this is the female side. Anyhow, there's a little clip on the back right here, and you're gonna have to pull that up a little bit to get this off. It's very easy, but you got to remember that's there, because if you break that, then you're either gonna have to replace that end, or you might want to put a dab of like super glue on the side right here to keep it in place. And I would do both sides if I were you, just for insurance purposes. If you ever break that, that way you don't have to replace that you know, this harness end. But anyhow, so I got an electric ratchet, and then I pulled that, and then pulled that. Let me back up again. I'm sorry. So when I took this off, what I did is I used an electric contact cleaner spray, and I sprayed the inside of this and cleaned it all out. And then I tucked it off to the side and let it dry, face down, so that all the liquid can drip out of it and dry. But anyhow, I just pulled that and that. And then I set those cap screws off to the side. And then I grabbed this, and I was able to turn it. Mind you, I did it when the engine was cold. It sat overnight. And that was my whole purpose. So what I had to do is either you can grab it here by the body, or you can grab it here on the old one, because you're going to replace it anyways, with a pair of pliers, and you can twist it. And you want to twist it a little bit, because there's some ribbing right here. And you're going to use that ribbing. You're going to twist this a little bit past that ribbing, so you can get underneath there with like what they call a foot bar, or some people call it a lady finger bar. But anyways, you can also use other tools too that have a prying ability. So you just turn it past that little rib right there. And this is the best side to use because there's the most clearance. So you twist it, and then you can use that tool and just like pry it this way, and put a little pressure against it, and most of the time it'll just pop right out. And then you can pull it out by hand. And then when you do that, then inside there, I would recommend this. Inside there, you're going to find a lot of soot. And that's what caused this part to fail. This is an electric solenoid valve. And anyhow, that carbon builds up inside there and keeps that spool in the valve from moving up or down. And yesterday, mine was stuck closed. And that's usually the situation, is this gets stuck closed, and then your truck derates. It means that you step on the throttle, you have no power, and then you'll see a lot of smoke start coming out of your exhaust. And then it throws a yellow check engine light on your dash, and then you're like, oh crap, you know. But it's really not that big of a deal. It did freak me out yesterday because I've been going through a lot. And this part right here can range anywhere from, depends on where you get it, it can range anywhere from, mine was $180, I think it was $186. And then I bought some contact cleaner, and I bought some brake clean to clean around the area so that nothing fell down in there when I pulled this part. And anyhow, that ran me about $219. I did it myself. It only took me about 15 minutes to do this, to remove this. And then you go inside there, and you're going to see a lot of soot. You don't want that to fall down in there. So the best thing that you should do is use a shop vac and just like, you know, suck out that soot. That way, because downstream, there is what is called an EGR cooler. That's exhaust gas recirculation cooler. And you don't want that soot collecting on that cooler, because there's a lot of holes in that cooler, and you want that exhaust gas to be able to go downstream and back into your engine without any restriction to make it most efficient. So anyhow, when I pulled this part, I sucked out the soot, and then I went down there with my finger and a rag with brake cleaner on it, and I cleaned. There's 2 bores in there where O-rings contact, and you want to clean those out because there's a lot of soot in there, and you want a nice clean surface to put your O-rings back on. So therefore, with that said, your new part has brand new O-rings already on it, so lubricate the bores that are inside the engine right here, and then also lubricate the O-rings on this part. This part, you just put a little pressure on it and kind of wiggle it back and forth as you put it back in, and it'll pop right back in. And then you just turn it, line up the bolt holes, and put your cap screws back in there. Put them back in, and don't forget to torque them. Actually use a torque wrench or an inch-pound torque wrench on all of your fasteners ever. On rotating parts, you want to put a little bit of red Loctite on all of your cap screws or nuts, whatever your fasteners are, because you do not want them coming loose, and it'll cause, like, it can hurt you, and it can hurt your equipment or your vehicle and cause further damage. So you want to remember not to, you want to remember to torque that stuff and put that stuff on there. Anyhow, this was a 15-minute fix. It was real quick. Then I took it for a test drive after clearing the codes, because my OBD2 reader told me right off the bat that part failed. It gave me 2 codes, 2. So it said that part failed, and then upstream from that part is a sensor, and so it gave me 2 codes. So that part was upstream, and I already knew that it tripped the other part. So anyhow, that was a really easy fix. You can do it yourself. You don't need to take it to a shop. You don't have to take it to a diesel specialist. If you get that code that says that your PCV valve, your EGR valve failed, it's going to give you, like I said, the extra code, and you can go ahead and replace that first part, and then like I said, clear the codes, and then you're freaking done. Easy fix. Don't need to take it to a shop, because that will cost you probably at least $500 for them to do something that barely takes any time and any knowledge, and I only replaced 2 bolts. So with that said, I wish you the best. We got hard times coming, so don't give your money to the shops, because how people make money is because people don't have any knowledge, and there are shops that take advantage of that. Every business takes advantage of you not having knowledge. Knowledge is power. So continue to research and do what's best for you and your family, and save that money. Thank you for watching.